What is up, dude? So, if you're new to the channel, I've actually done this before. But this is a new version of Beyond Chaos, which is, as you see, I got a giant freaking playlist of Beyond Chaos on this channel, and this is the newest version. And I kind of wanted to solidify in video form my particular set of rules that I've made for my runs of Beyond Chaos, right? When it comes to certain flags and things. And it's a great thing to do to show people who might want to get into the randomizer what kind of flags you can set and the things that you can mess around with in this game. And I'm first going to go through the flag sets and just talk about each one of them, a little bit about what they do, and I'm going to talk about my rules with regards to those flags, either as I go or after the fact. I'll let you know. Well, we'll figure it out as we go, okay? So let's get into it, dudes. So this is the HUD, right? This is where you bring up the EXE, right? This is Beyond Chaos Randomizer. This is version 1.1.0, I believe, of the new randomizer. I don't know. I just downloaded it from the Discord, which there will be a link to the Discord in the description below. So obviously, you always need a ROM file, which I'm not going to tell you where to get that, but you can get one. I have one. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and look at these here. So this is all of your different game modes, as it says. This is for like competitive. This is just from the beginning of the game to beating Kefka at Narsh. I've not played this one just yet, but it's for racing. It's an actual competitive one. Ancient Cave is Ancient Cave. If you've seen any other games that have like an Ancient Cave randomizer, that's basically what this is for this game. These, I assume, are other versions of Ancient Cave, just different. I've never played any of these. And then Race, Dragon Hunt. This is, I think, you're racing to defeat all of the dragons, and you start with some stuff. I haven't played that. All I play is normal, which is just the vanilla game. Randomized with all these flags, right? The ones you pick. This you can actually pick, if you're a new player, intermediate player, advanced player, you can actually pick a pre-made flag set. I don't ever do that. I like to put mine in manually. Speaking of which, let's just go ahead and go through this. All right, so these are just the basic flags, okay? And the ones you check or don't check basically end up seeding into the game exactly how you want it to be. So this first one here, make the game more balanced by removing known exploits, is the B flag. Basically what this does is it gets rid of the Vanish and Doom trick. I do believe it fixes the M block and MDef bug or evade bug and all that good stuff. This is one that's just pretty good just to have on vanilla, because you don't want to get Vanish and Doom and just Vanish and Doom everything forever. It's just boring, right? So I usually leave that one on. This is going to be my personal flag set, right? Randomize palettes and names of various things. I always have that on. It's just fun. It does exactly what it says. Randomize final dungeon. This is an important one because this is always on for me now. It didn't used to be. But this randomizes Kefka's Tower to use assets from a bunch of places in the game and just make a really interesting final dungeon. Also, if you do not check this flag, you cannot get a secret item that's always randomized in Kefka's Tower if Kefka's Tower is randomized. And there are secret items that replaced like the Dirk and the rename card and stuff like that the developers of this hack basically made into cool new items, right? And they're all very specific and funny and fun. Alright, randomize Esper spells and level up bonuses. I like putting this one on here because it's very interesting. Again, as you know, if you played the vanilla game, level up bonuses on Espers are like, MP plus 50% or whatever the hell. That changes which Espers give you what. Also, what spells they give you with regards to the level of Esper, too. So if you're not going to get like a unicorn that has a Merton on it, right? That's restricted to like Ragnarok and Odin and all that stuff. So, but that's a pretty good one to get. I like that. Randomize enemy formations is always nice. I don't know if they fixed the bug where randomizing enemy formations doesn't work with Remonstrate, and I'll talk about Remonstrate some other time because I'm not really planning on using it that much. right now, since this is a new version. I don't know what it's going to do to it. But yeah, randomized enemy formation is always nice just to check. It's fun. It just changes form. I'm pretty sure it just changes like what enemies can appear in what groups together, right? Randomized dances is one that I don't check if I pick a particular other flag. But this is pretty good if you want all vanilla commands in the game as potential randomization for you and your characters. Randomized dances is fun because it changes all 4 of the skills, and each dance changes all of the names of the dances and what terrain you can use them on, right? So that's really fun. But we'll leave it unchecked for now because I'm going to talk about a different flag here in a little bit. Randomize the stats of equipable items is pretty fun. It kind of makes you not immediately just look at an item and say, oh, this is bad. It could have some cool stuff on it. You never know. So I usually just keep that one checked just because it's fun. Randomize the Phantom Forest I do not use. There's a very specific reason why I don't do this. Because Shadow, the Shadow character, can run away in the Phantom Forest before you ever get to the train. Once you get on the train, he's there until the end of the train and right before Baron falls. But if you randomize the Phantom Forest, that means more battles while you're trying to find your way around it, and more chances for him to run away, right? And that's just lame. So I just leave it off. Randomize the clocking Zozo is actually pretty fun. It can be very frustrating if you're not good at math, like me. But basically, where the original clock was, oh my god, did I forget the freaking 61050? Is that what it is? Am I losing my mind? 61050. Yeah, I think 61050. I'm forgetting, like, way too much Beyond Chaos and having to do different inputs for the clock. But yeah, I'm pretty sure 61050 was the original clock in Zozo thing, and what it does is like it randomizes what that number is and randomizes all of the hints that the people in Zozo give you for what the number is. Now, what the cool thing about that is, if you just leave it 61050 and you just punch that in, the chest that you get beyond the clock is just if you randomize where items is just a chainsaw tier item, because that's usually where you get the chainsaw. If you randomize it, it's a higher tier chest, so you can end up getting a much better item than something as good as the chainsaw, right? So that's basically it, and I always do it because it's kind of fun to try and figure it out. Randomized blitz inputs, same story as dances. If you're using vanilla commands, you can check this, but there's some crazy inputs you can have, and I'm a fighting game player, you guys know that, and there's some crazy freaking inputs that they'll give you for the blitzes, like towards the end of the game. Like Bum Rush was impossible for me on one playthrough, but yeah, that can still be fun though, for sure. I'm gonna leave it unchecked. Randomize enemy stats, I always do. It's kind of self-explanatory. It changes, what your enemies are good and bad at, and what they're weak to and not weak to, stuff like that. So it subverts your expectations based on how much you've played the vanilla game, right? Randomize window background colors. I check this. You can always change it when you get in game, but I check it just to see what the game gives me and if I would like to keep it. It's really preference. Shuffle characters in battle commands. This still, this basically throws all of the vanilla commands onto other people. This one requires more explanation, and I've said that before. This one definitely requires more explanation, but yeah, it basically shuffles all of the characters' commands between each other. I don't know exactly how it interacts with other flags that change commands, but I always just check it just because, right? Randomized palettes of spells and weapon animations. This one can be really, really cool depending. Like, you can end up with a blue flare animation, you can end up with green Ultima. It's just really cool, so I just leave it on. Randomize what equipment each character can wear in character stats. Basically, what this does is changes the equipment schemes between the characters, right? So somebody will end up with Locke's equipment scheme. So you never know what's going to happen from this. Randomize character locations of the World of Ruin. This is a really fun one. The only thing that this does not change, or the only characters that doesn't change, is you will always start in the World of Ruin with the Cells character, or Celeste, however you say her name. I've always said Cells. But whatever character you got in Cells' place is always the character you start with in the World of Ruin. And whoever the Edgar character was, you always get in Nikia. And then whoever the Setzer character is, you always get in Kalingen. Those three characters are the only ones that are not randomized. As far as the other characters, Collapsing House in Zen, Mobliz, any characters can be anywhere, right? So that's really cool, because then it you can't just base your strategy on who you're going to get from one place to another, right? It's just fun to do that on the fly. Swap character graphics around. Again, this is very, very vague. That's the only real big concern I have with Beyond Chaos is some of these flags are very vague. So you just check them or don't check them based on your own preference. I always check swap character graphics around. But anyway, randomized treasure, including chests, Coliseum shops, and enemy drops. Definitely turn that one on. That's part of the freaking randomizer. I feel like if you're going to play like the base form of this randomizer, that should always be checked. Umaro Risk. This one is actually pretty dang fun. It basically makes it so you have a chance for one of your characters. It's a random character that you get. It will not be just the Umaro character that you find in the World of Ruin. You could have your main character is the Berserker. And I really hope, I haven't seen all of the freaking the new flags yet, or even if there are any, but my big complaint about Umaro Risk is I felt like any character that you get that's a Berserk character, you should always get something that isn't Fight, right? Because Fight is just vanilla. I mean, you should always get like some weird command. Like that's how we got Agrius with Sword Tech and stuff like that. I think that's how it should be done all the time. That's how we got a Mimic Zerker with Delita as well. But you never know. I like putting it on because you can get your Berserker whenever the game decides to give it to you. It's pretty cool. Generate new commands for characters replacing old commands. This one I always have checked because, again, if you're playing the base version of the randomizer, I feel like that should always be checked, right? It basically gives you, it could give you frickin' Flare as a command. It could give you, that's what leads to all the crazy awesome characters that you end up getting. So this is always checked for me. Shuffle Magicite locations. Now this one is kind of okay. I use it all the time, but at the same time, you're still getting Magicite in locations that are, pertinent to that time in the game, that level of power in the game anyway. So you're not getting freaking Phoenix in your first batch of Magicite or anything like that. You're still getting around the same power level. It is pretty cool in the World of Ruin though, because they're all super powerful, and finding one over the other is actually really nice, especially if you get Ragnarok somewhere really easy to beat and it happens to have Ultima on it, shit like that. Anyway, and then always have Sprint Shoes effect is always checked. That's another base randomizer thing. That's just a quality of life thing, so you don't have to use a relic slot for Sprint Shoes. Pretty great. Okay, so let's move on to sprites, which is aesthetic stuff. Brave Nude World, never used it. It just makes all the characters Esperterra because she's nude. Whatever, it's a meme. It's a meme flag. Makeover. Some sprites are replaced with new ones like Cecil or Zerasu Samus. This is always checked for certain. That's fun for me to that's the whole point, is to see new characters popping up in Final Fantasy VI. That's what gives us our storylines. That's what makes for some really interesting teams. Kupo Kupo, never used it. All party members are Moogles except Mog. With party, all characters are Moogles except Mog, Esperterra, and Imps. This, I don't bother checking it because I don't just want to go through a Moogle quest, dude. I like my diverse characters. Okay, so party. This is the one that has Kefka, Trooper, Bannon, Leo, Ghost, Merchant, Esperterra, and Soldier, all mixed into the sprites that can be acquired by playable characters. those sprites are also randomized themselves, allowing Leo to look like Edgar, for example. That is the big reason why I do it. I don't really care about getting Kefka, Trooper, Bannon, Leo, Ghost anymore as my characters, but if you don't check this, you don't get randomized Kefka or randomized Leo, right? I'm pretty sure. And I like that. I like to see who our villain is every game, right? Okay, quick draw, never used it. All characters look like Imperial soldiers, and none of them have Gauss Rage skill. I don't even know what the... I really don't know what the, like, meme is here, but either way, that's not a flag that I ever use. So these two vanilla ones are cool. No vanilla is the same as Makeover, except sprites from the vanilla game are guaranteed not to appear. So if you don't want, like, in your batch of randomizer sprites to end up with, like, base Terra, like just Terra's sprite, you can check this. What I use is French Vanilla, which is the same as Makeover, except sprites from the vanilla game are selected with equal weight to new sprites rather than some being guaranteed to appear. In other words, if you don't check these, you're pretty much guaranteed to get at least a couple of vanilla sprites in your playthrough. I check this because it gives them all the same chance, right, as all the crazy sprites. So yeah, that's the one I check. Clone Party is... see, this is a new one, isn't it? Same as Makeover, except... no, I've seen this before. Same as Makeover, except instead of avoiding choosing different versions, same character actively tries to do so. So this is how you could end up with, like, White Mage Garnet and regular Garnet and Princess Garnet all on the same team. If you don't check this, it kind of actively tries not to get doubles of a character you've already got. So I leave that one off. Okay, sprite categories. These are all of the categories of sprites that people have made for this game. So the categories are anime, boys, generic, girls, kids, pets, potato, and custom. So you can check whatever your preference is here. If you don't like anime, you can say, I don't want any anime sprites, for sure. If you don't want boys, you do, no boys. Let's say you're a huge anime fan. I want only anime sprites, right? You can check that. Stuff like that. This is how, you end up with some more cohesive, like, batchings of sprites that you would like to get. A lot of the time, I'll do no potato, just because I don't like inanimate object sprites, but a lot of the time, other times it's pretty funny to get those, but... anyway, yeah, I just leave that vanilla most of the time, and just because it gives you more options to get more characters. Okay, battle flags. Electric Boogaloo. This is actually one that I use all the time. Increases the list of spells that items can break and proc for. So, you know how you get the Thunderblade and you swing it, it can end up casting Bolt, right? It's similar to that, only... oh, sorry. I clicked away. Dang it. Why did I do that, Tony? Stop clicking away, man. All right. So basically what that does is it increases that list of spells to include, like, almost everything. Any weapons can potentially proc any spell, excluding sword techs, blitzes, slots, and a couple of other skills. So, yeah. That's a pretty cool one. I always just check it because it's pretty cool. Anyway, collateral damage. This I want to try sometime, but I haven't yet. All pieces of equipment break for spells. Characters only have the fight and item commands, and enemies will use items drastically more often than usual. I feel like this one could degenerate, though, is the problem, is you find, like, one item that breaks for, like, Ultima that only costs 100 GP in a shop, and you just buy 99 of that and go through the game just throwing Ultima for free. It's just, I feel like that's how it would degenerate, but I could be wrong. I don't know the intricacies of using this flag. Okay, Mass Effect. This is going to have to be its own talk at the end of this little spiel here about all the flags, but I'll just cover it right now real quick. Mass Effect basically changes the rogue effects that are on equipment. So considering, like, you look at the offering, right? The offering gives X fight. You could end up with a barrier ring at the beginning of the game that gives you X fight. That's what Mass Effect is. Or you could have, sprint shoes that or auto stop, or a buckler that's auto stop. That's happened to me before. Anyway, yeah, I usually check this, but it's up in the air depending on what kind of playthrough I want to do. Sometimes I do not do Mass Effect, but we'll check it for now just to do it. Random bosses causes boss skills to be randomized similarly to regular enemy skills. Boss skills can change to similarly powerful skills. So this one's going to require its own talk to, because there are a lot of things that can go wrong with this one. But the idea is it just takes the bosses that you fight, such as Ultros. Ultros is a bad example. I'll leave that alone. But let's say, okay, Tunnel Armor. Tunnel Armor casts Bolt on you, right? Well, with the random bosses flag, it could switch to Fire instead of Bolt, right? It's because these spells are all tiered, and basically what it does is it takes the normal spell that the boss would have and replaces it with a spell of the same tier, and some of them are kind of busted to run into, so it could roadblock you pretty dang hard. But lately I've used it, lately as in like the last flag and all that stuff, or the last seed. I probably would use it again for another playthrough. So yeah, random bosses is checked. Replace everything. All vanilla skills that can be replaced are replaced. I like to check this one. What this does is it removes like every single regular vanilla skill, like tools, blitz, dance, that kind of stuff. It removes all of them from the pool of things you can end up with. Except there are some exceptions. Some that cannot be replaced for whatever reason, right? And they include lore, morph, jump, I think, magitech. There's a couple of other ones that are irreplaceable. I can't remember all of them right now, but yeah, this replaces everything that can be replaced. And I like to use this a lot of the time. It's apples and oranges, man. If you want blitzes, if you want dances and stuff, don't check this. But if you want blitzes and dances to turn into something potentially more interesting, more busted, or more fun, check replace everything. I like to do it. All combos is another weird one. All skills that get replaced with something are replaced with combo skills. So if you use both of these flags, everything that's replaced is a combo spell, which means you get two spells linked together as one command, right? That's how I got Aura Slow, right? From like the very first seed of this I ever ran, which was like a random amount of times Aura Bolt and Slow, right? Linked together. So it basically turns all of the skills you would get outside of vanilla skills into those linked kind of skills. I don't ever use it. I like to see what I end up with. I don't want to know that I'm not going to get nothing but combo skills. Maybe one day I'll do it, but not right this second. And then no combos is there will be no dual skills. Basically, the exact opposite of all combos. Endless 9 is busted as hell. It could also be annoying, I'm sure. All R skills, which are random skills, are automatically changed to 9 times skills. W skills will become 8 times skills. So if you get like R Fire, right? Like, let's say you get you get R Fire, which is the entire batch of fire elemented skills, randomized when you press it. It'll turn into 9 times fire, and it'll do 9 attacks in a row from that list. Little busted. Could be just a little annoying too if you end up with something like Slow 2 and you have to sit there and watch it go through, or well, no, it's all R skills, so that could be interesting, I guess, but not right now. W skills, which are just back-to-back, same skill twice, is just 8 times. It does it 8 times instead of twice. It just kind of breaks everything for the player. I don't use it that much. Supernatural makes it so that any character with the magic command will have natural magic. See, this is one that I don't check, because that's another way that you can kind of manipulate the randomization and say, well, I don't want to be screwed and not have magic on my magic command people. No, you're just going to have to deal with it if you don't, in my opinion, so I don't turn it on. Can't touch this. I've never used. All characters have 255 defense and 255 magic defense, as well as 128 evasion and magic evasion. This just seems like a flag that they made so they can test the game. Like, you're never going to get hit, you're never going to die. It's just broken. Natural stats. No espers will grant stat bonuses upon leveling up. That is boring, so I don't use that. Granted, it makes for kind of like a challenge, but I don't really like it. I like to morph my characters into what I'd like them to be. Okay, aesthetic. This is some really, really fun stuff, right? So, Alas Draco, I always check now that I started doing it. It randomizes all the sprites of the opera into whatever the hell it decides, and it can be a riot, and it's definitely worth doing. So, I always turn this on. Bingo Boingo, I've never used, just generates a bingo table. If you're into that, that's cool. It's not my thing. Caps lock off just makes it so names use whatever capitalization is in the name list instead of all caps. I don't care. I don't mind the all caps thing. I still name all my characters in caps. Johnny D. Mad is randomizes the music with regard to what would make sense in a given location. So in a sad scene where you would normally hear one song, it might replace it with another song that's similarly sad, right? That's not the one I use anymore. I used to. I use Johnny A. Chaotic because it's much funnier. Randomizes music with no regard to what would make sense in a given location. So when Sid dies in the world of Ruin, you can get fun, happy music, shit like that. And they use tracks from other games too, not just from FF6. So that's really neat. I use this one. Not a waiter. I've never used this because I like to, form some sort of a narrative as I play through. So cutscenes mean something to my playthroughs. But if you're, impatient or you don't feel like just reading through text and stuff, up to Kefka at Narsh, the vast majority of mandatory cutscenes are completely removed. Optional cutscenes are not removed. So this just removes cutscenes, so you don't have to sit through dialogue if you just want to burn through a scene, which is whatever. It's just not my thing. Fight Club. This one's dumb and I would never do it, honestly. Does not allow you to see the Coliseum awards before betting, but you can often run from the Coliseum battles to keep your item. See, that right there, the fact that you can run, it just makes it dumb. It's just like resetting. Why would you just do this? I guess it would be fun just to see what you might end up with, or to test your knowledge on what kind of level of equipment when you bet you can maybe end up with something. I'd rather just see what it is. But anyway, that's it for aesthetic. Those are the only ones that I keep on, basically, are Alas Draco and Johnny A. Chaotic. Major flags. These are the important ones, okay? So, BSI-AB is bullshit in a box. It reverts the monster in a box selection algorithm to be mostly the same as versions prior to EX version 3. Before this, I think when you do this, it can give you really, high level monster in boxes, and it can really screw with you. So unless you want a headache, I wouldn't put that on. Or if you just want a challenge and you want to be afraid to open chests, that can be used. I used it in the last one with my discard an item when I wipe playthrough because it was more interesting, but we'll keep it off for now. Okay, Mime Time is a really fun one, actually, once I realized how it worked. Gogo will be hidden somewhere in the world of Ruin disguised as another character. Bring that character to him to recruit him. So he's hiding somewhere in the world of Ruin, and he looks like a character that you have already, right? And you have to go find that character and bring that character to Gogo, and then they do a little dance, and then he snaps into what he's supposed to look like, and you get him to join you. Instead of just him being in a random, character spot. I like using it now. I always do. Dancing Mad One is one that I always ding-dang use, because it's so interesting, and it can really affect what characters you have that are useless and what aren't. So, restricts Esper usage such that most Espers can only be equipped by one character. Also usually changes what spell the Paladin Shield teaches. So, what that means is, when you get your first big batch of Espers, and you go to try and equip them on your people, they might not be able to equip them. Because only one character can equip this one, only one character can equip that one. This character can equip two, that's cool. This character can't equip any, what the hell? So, and that could come down to your characters with magic commands, who have been assigned one of the best Espers in the game that have awesome spells. Or, I'm sorry, your character without a magic command could be assigned an Esper that teaches the best spells in the game, and they can't use them because they don't have a magic command. So that just makes for interesting situations where you really have to think about what characters you want to bring because of what they can learn from Espers and stuff. Excuse me. Okay, Dark World. Never used this. but this is like the true, like, hardest way to play the game, right? Drastically increases the difficulty of the seed, akin to a hard mode, mostly meant to be used in conjunction with the Mad World code, which we'll see in a minute. So I've never used this one. I might if I wanted to do like a really, really hard run, but yeah, not interested right now, but maybe one day. Dearest Malulu, as no random encounters occur. Recommend using with the EXP code. Wearing a Moogle Charm or a piece of equipment with the Moogle Charm effect will cause a battle to occur on every step when the encounters can occur. So, Dearest Malulu, yeah, I mean, I don't really like running around not getting in random encounters, right? Especially if I'm looking for a place to grind. So, this one I've never really used. Easy Moto, all enemies have 1 HP. That's really dumb. Don't use it. Mad World. This is the true tier list seed flag. With enemies having a higher degree of randomization and shops being very randomized as well. You can literally buy Ragnarok in the shop sometimes with this code. But you'll also maybe run into freaking Red Dragon in the Figaro Cave or some crap. Who knows? I've not used it. So that's for the truly insane. Metronome. This is the one that I tried to use and there was a bug with it where it didn't work. Maybe it's fixed now, and if it is, I'm sure it works like this. All characters have Fight, Archaeos, Magic, and Item as their skill set, except for the Mime, who has Mimic instead of Fight. Berserker also only has Archaeos. So this could be a very, very fun run if this flag works now. But we'll have to see. Natural magic. No espers or equipment will teach spells. The only way to learn spells is through natural magic. That's dumb. I don't like it, especially when you're already restricting yourself with Dancing Madwin. Plays itself. I would never use this one either. All characters will act automatically in a manner similar to when the Colosseum fights are fought. I'm not interested in playing a game that I don't get to play. You know. Okay. Random boost. We'll talk about in a minute. That's going to be another one that I have to talk about by itself. So we'll talk about that in a second. But basically, you can put in a randomness multiplier here, and that determines what items can appear in what chests at what point in the game. But we'll talk about that more later. Rush for Power reverses the Vargas fight to the way it was before Beyond Chaos EX. I don't remember a difference between the EX version and the original, but I could be totally wrong. If they made a flag for it, then there's definitely something different. Okay, so Suplex Rex, this one could maybe be really fun sometime, but because you can literally suplex everything. But all characters use the Sabin sprite. That's the only thing that bothers me, is already it's kind of boring when everyone looks the same. As well as having a name similar to Sabin, so it's just his names mixed up, or his letters of his name mixed up. All characters have the Blitz and Suplex commands, and every enemy can be hit by Suplex. So I really wish instead of all characters having the Blitz and Suplex commands, that Blitz wasn't even a part of it. They all just had Suplex. So that's the only thing you can do through the whole game is Suplex stuff. But regardless, it's a meme one again. So there you go. Whirring Triad, I want to try sometimes because it does sound really interesting. But it seems memey as hell too. Whirring Triad, the player will start in the World of Ruin with all of the World of Balance treasure chests, along with a guaranteed set of items and more lures. This makes me think you're starting in the Cell spot in the World of Ruin, and you're just going through the game as regular from there and skipping half the game. So that's why I haven't really used it. I don't want to skip half the game. Okay, so moving on to experimental. I don't use any of these, and neither should you probably. Game breaking, you shouldn't really use either. And let's check out this beta, because I've been looking at it since we started this. All battles will award multiplied EXP. Oh, you changed that. Award multiplied GP. Okay. All battles will award multiplied magic point. Okay, whatever. That's weird. Dance lessons. Removes the 50% chance that dances will fail when used on a different terrain. Okay. No monster in the boxes. Chests will never have monster encounters in them. That's boring as hell. Desperation. When the adventure back is up against the wall, break the wall. This is the flag, I'm pretty sure, that makes it so you get desperation attacks more often when you're on low HP, and you have higher chance of rolling desperation attacks as commands, which that's all freaking theorizing, but I think that's what it is. Okay, now that we've gone through all the flags, and yes, there are a lot of them, we will go back and we will talk about the ones that I wanted to talk about in depth, okay? and this is where my rule set's going to come in. Okay, so let's talk about Mass Effect, right? Mass Effect, if you like, I don't want to scare you off from it, but it will give you a lot of really weird effects on items. But it could also give you really, really good effects on items, right? So Mass Effect, it gives you the higher chance of that, right? That can already kind of happen anyway, even if you don't check the Mass Effects box. But Mass Effects makes it basically every piece of equipment will do something weird for you or different. So that being said, a lot of the time when I use the Mass Effect flag, I go to the major flags up here, and I use random boost, because random boost 0. That is the value I use, because it's the far side of the spectrum. Anything can appear in any chest. However, it has a higher chance of being randomized to have some kind of effect on it that isn't usually what it has, plus what it usually has. And it could make the items you get not as good as you had thought, right? So you could get a thunder shield, at the freaking beginning of the game, but it could have auto sleep on it, right? So when you equip it on your character, they're asleep in battle. You wouldn't want to use that, right? So stuff like that, and that affects a lot of things. This is where my rule set comes in for those two flags in particular used together, or just the random boost flag, right? So that being said, we're going to talk about exactly what my bans are, okay? There are a few items that are just too busted for the world of balance, right? So I have decided with the random boost, and sometimes without random boost, you end up finding some of these items anyway, just out of luck. But there are a few pieces of equipment and relics and stuff that I have banned in the World of Ruin. You cannot use them. I cannot, not you. If you wanted to play by this rule set, you could, but for me, this is how I do it. I cannot use any of these items until after the floating continent and I'm in the World of Ruin. So, those items are, we'll go over them one by one for why they're not allowed. Number 1, the Illumina. The Illumina is just busted. It's a big dumb sword. It's the strongest sword in the game. It procs Pearl, and it's just very, very good to get early. And it's not too rare to run into an early game enemy that drops them, and drops them frequently. So you can end up with a lot of Illuminas. So until the World of Ruin, the Illumina is just too powerful for the World of Balance. I just straight up ban it. The Economizer. Okay, so the Economizer and also the Gold Hairpin are totally banned in the World of Balance. The Economizer makes it so you have all of your spells cost 1 MP. The Gold Hairpin makes it so all of your spells cost half of what their normal MP cost is. So those two are banned in the World of Balance for the simple reason that casting 1 MP like Meteor and stuff is a little busted, and we'll get into those other spells and stuff too, and what rules there are put around those. But yeah, Economizer effects and half MP cost effects not allowed in the World of Balance. Moving on, Paladin Shield. Okay, Paladin Shield is totally banned in the World of Balance because it's just too good. Like, let's be freaking real. Whatever spell it teaches you is probably going to be pretty good, and nothing can touch you when you have the Paladin Shield. Even in the World of Ruin, it kind of makes the game really, really easy. So yeah, I banned the hell out of the Paladin Shield in the World of Ruin, or World of Balance. It's just a simple thing. The fixed dice. Okay. Oh, I gotta switch to my other view. I'm sorry. Man, I'm so bad at this. Hang on a second. Okay, and I'll put up the ones I've talked about already. But yeah, those are the banned items so far. Next banned item, the fixed dice. Okay, fixed dice is on the list as well. The fixed dice are just too busted. Dice are fine because they do have like a cap for how much damage they can do, but the fixed dice also has a cap for how much damage they can do, but they can do up to 9,999 damage, and that kind of damage in the World of Balance is way too much. Screw it. Fixed dice are too broken to use in the World of Balance. Just out of there. Snow Muffler is another piece of equipment that's very, very good, that can make certain characters very busted in the World of Balance, so I have also removed that. And the Minerva, of course, for whoever gets Cells and Terra's equipment schemes. If you get the Minerva early, they also pretty much can't be touched. So the Minerva is banned as hell in the World of Balance. So next I'm going to talk about a banned spell in the World of Balance, okay? Of course, that's Ultima, right? If you watched the Little Billy and the Corrupt Ring playthrough of Beyond Chaos, you know exactly why I did this. So we found a wall ring that taught us Ultima, right? And Ultima, in the World of Balance, it's almost not too busted because it costs so much MP and it'd be really, really hard to cast. But when you get an economizer or something with an economizer effect, you're suddenly throwing out 1 MP Ultimas, just at the Zozo part of the game, and it's really, really busted, and you won't get to use a lot of other interesting stuff that your characters have because you're like, screw it, I'll just throw Ultima over and over and over. It makes for a boring game, let's be real. So that's a lot of the reason why Ultima is banned in the World of Balance. However, there are caveats to this. The Ultima, if we ever roll the Ultima command, because there's so much shit that you can end up with as a command, it's very rare to get something like that. That's okay. You can use that in the World of Balance. If you are so lucky that you got Ultima as a command on one character, and it's whatever, go ahead and use it. That's the way I look at it. But the spell itself, totally banned if you find a way to get it. And the other thing is, if you want to learn Ultima in the World of Balance, that's fine with me. In my runs, learn it all you want, but you can't use it, right? Stuff like that. Also, things that proc Ultima are like weapons that have the chance to proc Ultima when you swing with them. That's whatever, go for it. However, items that you buy in a shop that you can just use in battle when they cast Ultima, no, get those out of there. They're too busted. Not until the World of Ruin. And even then, I would say it's a little restricted, but that's to be decided in the future. So, let me go back to the flags real quick, because I want to talk about another one here. Okay, the random bosses flag. This is what I want to talk about, okay? So, unless they fix these bugs, which there are a lot of bug fixes in this version, there is a chance, and it did happen to me in a run, the last run, in fact, twice, that a character can roll Baba Breath or a boss can roll Baba Breath as a skill that replaces one they already have. It replaced Ultros's Tentacle when I fought him in the Esper Mountain, and what it does is remove characters from your party. So when you beat him at the end of that, if you beat him, because it's very hard without a couple of characters, then when you go out of there, the game glitches because you're missing 2 characters. They're on your airship at that point, right? And it can happen in a couple of different places, and it did happen to me in a couple of different places in the last seed I played, which, yeah, that's no good. So the reason that I bring this up is that there is a Game Genie code that I will implement if I run into something like that, where there's literally no way to progress and it's out of my control. It's a code called All Hits Are Lethal. So what that does is, in the case, like, let's take for example that Ultros fight where he was Baba Breathing me. That means that if I get a swing in on him and he's just done, he never gets a chance to cast Baba Breath, and it doesn't mess up my game. That's what the All Hits Are Lethal code is there for. Same with when I ran into it when the 3 Dream Stooges had Baba Breath. I did the same thing. All hits are lethal. Hit all 3 of them and just be done with it before they can do it, because there's really nothing you can do about getting Baba Breath. If it's going to crash the game, it's going to crash the game. Maybe they fixed it in this version, but I wanted to make sure you knew that I had an All Hits Are Lethal code that I will use in that situation. Now, one more Game Genie code that I want to mention. So I can never use this until right before I enter Kefka's Tower. It's the 12,000 EXP per battle code, and the only reason that I use it is to shave time off of my grinding, because I would grind my characters up to those levels anyway before I ever entered Kefka's Tower, and it's much faster to have a 12,000 EXP per battle code than it is to go and find a grind spot. However, it can never be used before that point. So while I'm going around to all the different dungeons and I'm clearing them out, like Cian's Dream and freaking Fanatic's Tower, if I want to be higher levels for those, I have to find a legitimate grind spot and actually grind. I cannot use this code. This code is specifically for endgame when everything's done except Kefka's Tower and Ebot's Rock, because I never do Ebot's Rock. Screw that place. So yeah, that's basically it as far as those rules. And I kind of just wanted to like halfway show you how the flags work in this game and explain a little bit how they work, and then the other part of it just kind of solidify my rule book for my own personal runs in video form, so everybody knows exactly. I don't have to explain it every time I'm running through, like, oh yeah, cool, we got an Illumina, I'm not using it though because it's banned, and I might still say that kind of stuff, but I won't have to explain why it's banned because this video exists. But anyway, I don't know what I'm going to play my next Beyond Chaos run through, but I wanted to make sure this was out there so everyone understood. So, either way, thanks you guys for checking out this video if you did. If you enjoyed it, whatever, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good, crazy shit. Say bye, Fury Cat. Bye, Fury Cat. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.